So did you have kind of one core director of photography that you worked with to develop the look?
Yeah, we had a series director, and he worked closely with a director of photography that he'd worked with a lot, and they spent a lot of time in London and disappearing off to various families, with kit from Panavision, experimenting with new stuff, and they absolutely established what boxes we needed to take, where we needed to take them, and they kind of nailed this kind of I call it almost like a Tom and Jerry sort of approach, where you go into a house and everything happens down there. That's where kids, but that's where they do stuff. So let's forget about mum and dad. You could easily sort of try and be pointy-headed and say, look, parents, let's all gather around and have a look at these wonderful kids. But it was much more fun to get down on the rug and be right next to the kids and throw all the parents out of focus. And for the longest period of time, with parents, we'd only really see the legs, which is a real Tom and Jerry thing. And we found it very effective, actually, because it gave you an intimacy and a proximity to the child that made you feel like you were actually luckier than the parent. You were seeing stuff that they were missing, and that was a very special sort of part of the ingredient, I think, in order, that they managed to kind of zero in on early on. But it was a process of trial and error, as it always is with these things. But again, the nice thing about working with Apple was that the ambition of the project allowed us to do that, and it allowed us to work with them early on what was and what wasn't going to fly in terms of how the thing looked and felt.
Did they have any pushback at all?
Yeah, I think I think they were very sort of clear about upping the quality of how it looked all the time.
Yeah.
And in the world of documentary, that's not always the conversation you're having with the commissioners. It's story, 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 story. But here it was story, 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 and quality, 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 quality.
Yeah.
So it was a marriage of different worlds, really. We didn't go out and get our buddies from the docs world to come and shoot this stuff. We got people who'd done commercials and features because they could get that look. And they worked with producers who were much more doxy producers. And it was a kind of, it was a real meeting of minds. But in TV, you have to do that. You don't get PBS to do a Friday night entertainment show because they're going to get it wrong. Even if you give them all the budget in the world, it's just not how it works. In the same way that news don't make drama. And sometimes you have to just accept that and go out looking for the best people from those disciplines. And I think increasingly, television is like that. It's like, where are the best people to come on in and help us with this? Where do we get them from? And that's a mark that the thing is changing to a degree, I think.
That's a really interesting concept that you just threw out there, because I wasn't thinking about it in those terms, but you're right. I mean, if the demands are such that you need the highest quality possible, but traditionally in documentary, it's story first, quality, second in a way. That, for you as an executive producer, how did you react to that challenge? I mean, was that something that was frustrating to you at the beginning?
Not really, because I think I like the idea of it. I thought this is something that no one's done. Nobody has gone out to shoot documentary with kit like this, with an ambition like this. So let's see if it can be done. So from that perspective, it's definitely groundbreaking, but it was a bit terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't think I was ever annoyed. I was just terrified by the prospect of it. And you've got to hide that and just crack on,
I can see a lot of frustrations just for, cinematographers that are used to commercials and film their skill set is different than documentary. Yeah. It's different. Like they're used to having things be able to be performed multiple times. They just are used to a different workflow. I mean, how did the cinematographers react to this new challenge? I mean, there must have been some give and take.
Well, a lot of them had worked with children, and were quite used to actually working with kids, either in the kind of commercial sphere or elsewhere. So they knew what they were sort of walking into. And, we would never have sent out, a sort of big hairy crew who'd never worked with little ones before, because you would have absolutely had that problem. But I think from the outset, people were prepared for what was coming. And the other thing that we did was, we worked out, we work with the experts and we work with the families to say what is the child doing that displays this behavior, and how can we, when we get there, zero in on that and get that behavior and then build the other stuff around it. Because once we've got the thing that we want to really tell, then we can go and make the place look amazing and the rest of it. But you can have any number of aerials, beautiful shots of villages, but if you don't actually get that moment, then, so that moment was where we really spent the patience, and that was about filming a child, on one angle with this incredible kit, following them with gimbals so everything you could go with them to a degree, and keep the quality going, lock off on sticks, go on long lenses, give them peace and quiet. But it was a waiting game, as it would be in a sort of natural history project. You're waiting for the eagle to come down and eat the hare, and that's a lot of this project was like that. And at the moment that we've got that, off we go and get the rest of it, the packaging.
Yeah.